Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Surviving UX podcast. There may no longer be a COVID emergency in your state. Your company may no longer be offering COVID sick days, but you sure can still get it. I am your host, Meg Kramer, and I should know it finally came for me last week. With me is my co-host Jessamyn. Jessamyn, I had to cancel on you due to all that nonsense. So what's happening with you now that I've emerged from
Um,
the fog?
I think I was sick. I am better now, but I think the entire planet is sick. Literally
Hmm.
everyone I've talked to is sick as a dog with either strep, bronchitis, allergies, just a plain old cold or COVID coming around
Hmm.
again. It
You
has been
know,
a butt kicker.
Totally. I even ordered something off Etsy and I got a note from the seller that was like, "Hey, I'm so sorry. This is late. My whole family's been sick." And I wrote her back. I
Oh.
was like, "Same boat, same boat. Don't worry. Send it when you can."
Oh. I know. I feel like I almost ignore it now if I hear one of my kids coughing, like a gross cough. I'm like, "Ugh, all right. Well, there's not much I feel like I can do about it, We're just
Mm-hmm.
sick and it's gross and I'm just, here for it." But how long was your COVID?
It was not too bad, although it's kind of like we went into that haze and with a 1 year old getting sick, like you kind of
Mm-mm.
are just like, I don't know. And maybe when they're older, you're like it that too. But it's just like moment to moment. It's like, is the
Yes.
kid gonna sleep? Are they just gonna cry for
Uh-huh.
48 hours straight?
Uh-uh.
But so it was about a week that we were all kind of
Oh,
handling triaging things. But I'm
that is rough.
definitely doing better, and I'm really glad it went as quickly as it did. I think these strains, getting it, 3 years in, we just hadn't had COVID all 3 years of
Oh my
COVID being a
gosh.
thing, and getting it this late and being fully vaccinated, all of us, even the baby, I think definitely
Oh,
helped
yeah, 'cause
for
he's old
sure.
enough now. That's actually
Yeah.
a good reminder for me because I think
Hmm.
my baby's old enough now to
Yeah,
start
I think
getting
it's
some of that stuff.
6 months. Yeah, 6 months.
Oh,
So
thank God. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I'm glad you guys got through it. And to everybody out there listening who is sick or has been sick recently, our heart goes out to you because it's such a bummer, especially when the
Yeah.
weather's starting to get better and you're thinking, hey, all right, we're cruising towards summer.
Yeah.
And oh, wait, I'm sick.
I think it's
So,
because the weather gets better and everybody
mm,
goes outside and or sees other people
mingles.
or goes to little league games and stuff like that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but a great thing to do while you're sick is listen to podcasts.
That's correct.
So listen to this podcast. So today's episode is going to be just me and Jessamyn chatting a little bit about some topics that came to mind for us. But first, when it's just Jessamyn and I, sometimes I think back on older episodes and or things like just some housekeeping things, some smaller things. So, that I wanted to mention on the podcast. And the first is that I mentioned on the podcast we did a couple of weeks ago, the one about cancer at work, having cancer at work. I told my story about kind of how I found out and all that stuff. And I really stressed that I was like alone that first day, I think. And that really wasn't true. I was just alone when I got the information. And then I, and one of the things that I had in those first couple of hours was I reached out to a friend who had a very similar situation to me, and they were just so generous with their like time and their experience and their comfort and their care. And I listening back to that episode myself, I was just like, oh, I realized I wasn't alone that day. And I guess my hope for anybody going through that is like that you know that you're not. There's so
Mm,
many, probably just people very compassionate in your life, but then there's also just by the statistics alone, so many people in this world who've gone through having a cancer diagnosis.
hmm.
So I wanted to mention that and thank those people on the podcast that supported me in the early moments.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a silver lining kind of that you go through something hard in your life and you hurt and it sucks and you're miserable. And then when you get to the other side of it, one way or the other, and you see somebody else going through something, you're like, oh, I can empathize. Like, that's
Mhm.
such a gift for people to know that even if you can do nothing for them, just to be there and be their
Mhm.
friend and listen and
Mhm.
be like, I don't know exactly what you're going through, but I believe you. You know, I know that it's hard and that it sucks. Is so good in life, like however you can get it. I mean, especially with everyone, well, so many people working remotely, being
Mhm.
alone, and feeling alone. Like when you do have things that come up in life, especially related to work, and you are literally sitting in a room alone, and your only outlet is like a video call or a Slack message or something like that, it is really hard sometimes to feel connected. And I think
Mhm.
we like it can turn on us really hard if something goes wrong. Like if let's say miss a deadline, miss a project, don't respond to something, say the wrong thing. Like it can be hard to repair if you're just leaning on email or Slack or, maybe a call or something
Mhm.
to like really have that strong relationship because that's what work is all about, is having those relationships and getting stuff done using those relationships. So it's
Right.
good that you guys were able to connect and despite, the distance.
Yeah, and I think that kind of leads well into talking about in-person stuff
Mm,
that's coming up and building relationships with people in person.
yes.
So I wanted to check in with you, Jessamyn. Another thing we talked about on the podcast a couple of times is your submission to UXPA, and then getting ready and going to conferences and our reflection on conferences. So it's not too far away. It's
I
April, and we're
know.
going in June.
Yes.
What's the latest? How are you
Well,
feeling?
I'm glad you asked me about this, Meg, because this has been like almost a source of dread
Oh
for me.
no.
I think it's because I have been, really challenged with work and I'm also taking like a night class. And so these topics are on my mind, but prepping has not been
Hmm.
happening and it does need to happen. And I tell myself, like, don't make yourself miserable. Don't stay up the night before slapping together slides. Like, try to build in some prep, versions of this session and deliver them to friendly audiences. And when I've done that in the past, it's worked well for me because I was able to get good feedback and then tweak a couple times before gave the big presentation. I think the other thing that some of the things that sort of the feedback that's been ringing in my ears from when I submitted was, all ops is just drudgery and I don't care about your drudgery or my drudgery or any drudgery. I just don't want to hear about it.
Hmm.
And then there's already a lot of stuff out there written on design ops. Like, what are you going to do that's new? And I was like, wow, both of these are really valid points. Like, maybe I don't have anything to add. And I think that criticism has sort of shut me down a little bit. Whereas like these topics were really exciting to me when I sat down and wrote the submission,
Hmm.
now, like, I feel like all I can hear is the criticism of like, "We don't care, nobody cares, nobody wants to hear anything about this, you don't have anything new to add." And,
Hmm.
like, I need to crawl out from under those
Yeah.
somehow and
Well,
push them to the side.
you've remembered those very like strongly, like almost word for word, right? Do you remember any
Yes.
of the positive comments? Maybe go back
No.
and read those.
I know there were some you're so right, Meg. I think this is like an aspect of my personality that is not a great one. Like criticism sticks with me forever. I mean, it
Hmm.
can be really useful because if I'm working on a design and someone gives me negative feedback, I will never forget it. It will stick with me permanently, like tattoo in my brain.
Mm.
So if someone says like it's confusing or I don't like it or it's too much, like that's all they have to say. It will
Mhm.
not leave me, but it can work against me too. And I need to, yeah, I need to pep myself up. I mean, the whole point of my talk and the point I want to make is like we all have so much work to do and we want to focus on the stuff that we like, right? The parts that we enjoy, that we're drawn to, that we naturally gravitate to, that that we love. There's a reason why we got into this industry.
Hmm.
And then the stuff that we don't like how do we minimize it or eliminate it or delegate it or get rid of it so that our work doesn't become the tedium? I am like queen of tedium and I think I drive my coworkers nuts sometimes. Like I reached out to somebody yesterday and I was like, "Could you name your file differently, please? Because it's hard to find." And they were like, okay, sure." And I was just like, thanks." I'm like, this person is probably like spitting right now, like just unrolling their eyes, like thinking, what a pain. But I'm like, well, I can't find the file. Anyway, so I am like a stickler for like the little nits, and
Hmm.
I love a nitpicker. Like I see the nitpickers. I see them at work whenever I'm in a review or a discussion and someone's like, "Can we tweak this? Can we tweak that?" And I'm like, "Oh my god, that's what I do." And I'm like, "Look at the big picture, dude. Pull your head up out of the sand. Look at the big picture." Like, I'll get to the nits, but they can't stop focusing on the nits. And like that is, I think some designers are really built that way. That's what makes them good. They're very, very sensitive to little
Hmm.
things, like little rough edges. So
Hmm.
anyway, in terms of prep, it's been zero prep,
Yeah.
100% stress,
Well,
mental
yeah.
mind games.
I
And
hope
yeah,
I hope the balance shifts for you for sure.
thank you.
Um,
What would you do if you
I
were me? What would you do? Give me
Yeah,
some
well,
advice.
like
Clearly, I'm
you
struggling.
mentioned like that there's so much out there on design ops, and I wouldn't say I've read a ton
I
about
have read
that
zero.
stuff, but I feel like the stuff I have encountered is kind of at the organizational level or at the kind of like how to optimize teams and a group of people to move, in a particular direction. When I think about like what might be interesting, and honestly entertaining about your talk is that it's much more on the personal side, and it's much more like you've got the stories of the drudgery and the like what your personal take and experience has been like. And I get, the person who doesn't want to listen to somebody else's drudgery, like that makes sense, but maybe they do on some days and they don't on other days, and maybe so I or that person is just not the right fit for your talk, and who cares? Um,
Yeah.
but I think what's interesting and unique um is the personal take, like the personal optimization. And I think everybody does things differently, but something you say may spark something in somebody's mind of like, oh yeah, that is how I could do my practice a little bit differently, even though it's not
Hmm.
like, even though you're not, I don't think you're coming out and saying like, do these 6 things and you'll be optimized for good. I think you're more saying like, these are some of the things I've tried, and like how could they apply, and to try to make people think about how they could apply to um their work life, and
Hmm.
might try to do something different. So that's what I
Yeah.
think is like, you're not talking about, and maybe you are, but I
The
think it's less
academic
about talking about
level,
the,
yeah,
yeah,
it's more personal for sure.
yeah,
And
personal,
I
practical, implementable, those kinds of things.
mhm.
Because like design individual contributors like you and I, like we can't, I mean, I applaud you for getting somebody else to change their file name, but like you and I
I
can't
didn't, I wasn't
get.
successful.
Oh,
They refused.
oh, well, I was gonna say like maybe we can do it on like maybe we can get a single person to do it, but we are not in the position of, revolutionizing a file structure system for an entire team. Like that's not where we sit. That's kind of where an actual person who's got the design ops job title sits.
Mm,
Or if you have one, which is great, and if you don't, it's probably a manager or a program manager on your team. And so like what can an individual contributor optimize when it comes to design ops is kind of an interesting take, I think. So
Yes, because
that's
you think
my
about it, most designers are individual contributors. Most that's,
yes.
that's the majority of the workforce. Like, there are for every solo designer, there's probably, for every 20 solo designers, there's a manager or, an
Hmm.
ops person or something. So the majority of people are just designers. Maybe they're solo, maybe they're part of a team, but either way, they're ICs.
Right.
So, yeah. And I mean, even if you are part of a team, you're still doing a lot of work independently. People are relying on you to serve your team, and you are a force of one a lot of times. I mean, in my own experience, it has been really rare to pair with another designer on a project. And the times that I've done it, I wasn't crazy about it. Um, so I don't know why. Maybe I'm too territorial, but you do have to be a good manager of yourself.
Hmm.
That's the first place you have to work is on yourself and your own management of your time and your project and I want to say your friends, your stakeholders' expectations and stuff. Like,
Hmm.
that's the hardest to me, like sometimes the hardest part.
Yeah.
Um when stuff drags on. Anyway, so let's talk about Mario Land. What's going on with that?
So if nothing else in my life um, explodes like it did last week, where we had unexpected, a very unexpected event. I'm so excited because I'm scheduled to go to Universal Studios Hollywood,
Whoa.
new Mario Land. Nintendo, is it called Mario Land? I don't know what it's called, but I call it. It's their new part of the park that's all Nintendo
Oh,
themed, and
fun.
I'm very excited. I think that I, I'm lucky to get to do what I do for a living in terms of like design and designing experiences for basically web apps or web experiences. But my love like is things like theme park design. I just like really, really,
Really?
yeah.
Oh my
I love
gosh.
I love
That's
things like theme
cool.
park design or even like design in like Vegas for adults because that's kind of
Ah,
like it's the same
it's
kind
a
of
very
themes like
controlled environment. It's a very
controlled.
yes.
How do you move people, like like where do you have people congregate, where do you want them to
Uh-huh.
move to, like you know like there's all these attractions, let's say at like Disneyland, and there's all these people, and like then you build something to or you think of something to get people off of the, like to get them just out of the main areas for a while,
Mhm.
or just kind of like pull
Places
them
to
out of,
rest.
yeah. And just like there's just so many cool design elements that go into that, from like safety, like all the things that like are very constraining, like things like safety or or other things like that. But then also like I often think about when I'm at Disneyland, like this is gross, but I often think about just like the plumbing and like
Oh,
what
yeah.
all the plumbing must be like to handle all of that human excrement.
Oh,
um
yeah. The
yeah,
the
pretty
big
gross, right?
bathrooms. I mean, well, I can relate because in Williamsburg, Virginia, where I live, there's a giant theme park here called Busch Gardens.
Hmm. Hmm.
And at their German Fest house, they have bathrooms for days. Like,
Hmm.
it's almost comical. I'm like, who put this bathroom together? Like, they didn't break it up. It's just like a hall with
Uh-huh.
50 stalls all the way down. And I'm like, good night,
Yeah.
this is so funny. I've never seen such a big bathroom. And
I've
you're like,
never, yeah.
they're just well, the funny thing about these is that a lot of them are old, right? Because it was originally built in the
Oh.
70s. So
Mhm.
they're small scale, it's low ceilings, and ventilation is like minimal.
Mhm.
So you're just thinking like, who dreamed this up? Because it is a small cramped space,
Uh-huh.
dark, kind of dark German themes, dark colors, wood, and then 50 toilets. Why? Like, could anyone come up with a worse idea? Like, it's just so ridiculously cramped. It's like pooping on an
Uh-huh.
airplane, it's crazy. So, yeah, I mean, and the other thing I think about a lot when we're out and about is just, um, public seating. Like,
Mhm,
we having the baby, the kids, and my parents, who are in their 70s, when we go
mhm,
out, if there's not benches or places to sit, like, we suffer. And
mhm,
I can't
mhm.
tell you how many places we've gone where we're just, like, looking around and I'm like, "I guess we're gonna sit on the ground," because there's nowhere to sit,
Yeah.
and, or the seating doesn't have a back, it's like a picnic table style, and with a baby in my lap, I need something
Oh,
to
yeah,
lean up
yeah.
on. So,
Mhm,
like, last summer, I remember I went to, like, a camp with my daughter, and I sat against, like, a wooden pole with my newborn in my lap for, like, hours because
mm,
there was literally no chairs, and I was like, "What are people thinking?" Like, come on. There's just no
yeah.
thought. There's no thought. So, anyway.
Or there's thought to, I mean, I don't know about that particular space, but, like at Disneyland, like, they don't have as much seating because they do want people to, like, keep moving around.
Keep
They
it
don't want people
moving.
to Yeah, they don't want people, well, I assume, they don't want people to camp. Um,
Ugh, all I can think about is the
so
crying children, like, at Disney. I just
hopefully there won't be, well, I
hopefully
don't know.
yeah.
So anyway, I'm very excited to go to this new theme park. It just opened in, or part of the park. It just opened in February in the U.S. There had been one, I believe, in Universal Japan um, for a while, and so I
Whoa.
am super excited to go. Maybe I'll have some interesting UX or design things that just like are really super cool about it. I know
Mhm.
the rides in these new attractions are also like building off of lots more like interaction and simulation and stuff and like um, so I'm very excited to go. And I have not been to Disneyland in a very long time because of
Mhm.
COVID and everything. And
Yeah.
so I haven't been on some of the new rides there. And so far, they have not been spoiled for me. So please,
Good for
please,
you.
please, folks
I
out there,
applaud you
don't
for getting
spoil.
on rides because I have not gotten onto any rides in a very long time. Because when I go with the kids, they ride the rides and I stand there, and they're too like, there's a couple rides we can ride together, but most of the time
Yeah.
I'm watching them ride something, so it's definitely not the same experience for me anymore going to theme
Yeah,
parks.
I am going sans child. I'm going just with
Ah,
some friends. Oh yeah,
oh,
yeah. No, I'm not
fun.
taking the kid. No, I'm taking myself. I'm masking up.
Okay.
I know it'll all look real funny because no one else will probably be masked up, but
Oh, I'm sure people will. People still
super
mask.
masking up
Yeah.
and dousing myself in antibacterial uh I don't know, that hand sanitizer stuff every chance I
Mhm.
get. So we'll see. Anyway, I'm super excited.
Yeah.
I'll let you
Good
folks
for
know
you.
next
Good for
week how
you. It's
I
so important to have something to look forward to.
yeah, but it's one of those things where it's like with anything these days it's like is it going to be taken away at the last second? I don't know. So, anyway, we'll
No,
see.
it's
We'll
not. It's
see.
gonna work out. Mario's gonna be
Yeah.
waiting for you.
Well, let's move back into the workplace here. I know you've had some recent funny things go on at your work, in your
Mm.
work day. What's been going
It's
on?
been it's been a real treat, Meg, because, I've had the pleasure of being on some video calls that went wrong the last few weeks,
Uh-huh,
and,
uh-huh.
I just really enjoyed watching my coworkers do something incredibly embarrassing and then recover.
Mhm.
I've had 3 stories. The first
Okay.
was, a coworker and I were on a call together, and the coworkers, I'm gonna say kid, I believe, a person ran behind them buck naked from one end of the room to the other, and the person on the call with me, like, kind of barely looked over their shoulder and then just like, very subtly took their laptop and turned it, like, 30 degrees so that they were facing a wall and just kept on talking. And I was like, what a stone cold professional. Like, that was great because I would have been like, what? Like, shriek, mute, go blank, shut the laptop, like, end the meeting, go yell at my
Uh-huh.
kid, etc. And they did not lose their cool. So shout out to you, um, stone cold boss. And then a few, I think last week, we were on an early morning call with the team. I don't know, we were deep in conversation, and all of a sudden, one of my poor coworkers hit their video button
Mhm.
and revealed that they were laying in bed. It was so funny. I mean, there was no mistaking it. They were under the covers, head on the pillow, laptop on the chest, in bed. And I was like, this is the best thing. What a treat for my day. And they
Aw.
just quickly, again, they turned it off immediately. They said nothing. And I was like, I guess we can't laugh about this, but I'm laughing on the inside. I've enjoyed this immensely. It has literally made my day.
Yeah. I
Yes.
I mean, I I don't I think that person is smart.
You know what?
Because
I've only ever seen that
comfy.
one time, somebody taking a call from bed. I
Yeah.
never do it, ever, ever, ever. Do
No.
you? Do you take calls from bed?
Mhm. Mhm.
You do? Okay,
Maybe,
okay.
maybe,
So maybe
Jessamine,
this
I don't
isn't
know.
so weird. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't give it away. If you're out
But
there listening and you take calls from bed, I mean, good
but
for
I don't
you.
have
Just
my like,
cover
in
your video.
person. Yeah, no, 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 but, I yeah, whenever I'm doing something like that, I'm always, uh, much more self-conscious about
Can't they hear the
my
covers
camera.
rustling? Like, I mean, isn't there some clues? I guess not if you stay still.
Um, I think if you work from home and you are, not afforded, your own, luxury office
Spot, yeah.
area, um, like, do what you wanna, get comfy, but
Yeah,
don't
I
turn your
guess
webcam on,
just don't turn it
especially if
on.
you're trying to have some sort of, sense of authority or I don't know.
Speaking exactly. So this is what I think maybe why I got turned off to bed calls or whatever is because I did have one time a manager talk to me from her bed, and I remember just being like, "Whoa, she's in bed." And this was way before COVID.
Uh,
So I was just like, "What is happening? Like she doesn't care enough about me to like get out of bed." But granted, there was a big time zone difference. It
mhm.
was very late in the day where they were, and so, it was probably 8 or 9 PM, so looking back now, I'm like, "Who cares?" But at the time, for some reason, it ruffled my feathers a little bit. I'm super super
I
dumb.
don't think it's yeah, I definitely I mean, we all shouldn't judge or whatever, but,
Yeah, I was
I
super
definitely
judgy.
think the impression that you give off is one of less authority and less care, and, I mean, I think it's more of a place to get work done than to, be engaging in, relationship or relational tasks where you
Yeah.
are managing somebody or you are presenting or unless you broke your leg and then it's fine. um so
Well, yeah, if you're in bed right now listening to this podcast, I mean, honestly, coot my hats off to you. Good for you. I just have never, I guess, broken that boundary that much. So for me, there's sort of, in spite being within 3 feet of a bed at pretty much all times when I'm working, I'm rarely in it working.
Mhm.
I
Well,
haven't I haven't gotten used to that.
if you ever succumb or want to try it
Mm.
out, be
Mm-hmm.
bold. You let us know how it goes for
I
you.
will.
I
I will.
imagine you just sit on the edge with your computer and then you're like, nope, not for me, and you go back to your desk.
Right. I just I'll probably get too comfortable and fall asleep. But and then the last thing that happened that was wonderful was that I was on a call and we were watching YouTube together, the team, we were trying to watch some video of an interaction, and a YouTube ad popped up that the person sharing the screen could not suppress and could not skip, and it was a constipation ad, and it was so funny because it was like a woman with her face, like, all screwed up and, like, she's like, "Ah, I'm constipated," and then it showed an illustration of a person's intestines and bowels with a big cartoon poop moving through it, and it was just like, again, the person was like, "Oh, this is a horrible ad," and then they just kept going, like, they ignored it, and I was laughing so hard. Another coworker, like, typed in LOLOL, and but we were all on mute, and then I tried to unmute myself and keep talking, but I was laughing too hard, so I muted myself again, and the person just kept going, they just kept going, and I was just like, "I can't get over this stuff, like, that fast, like, I need some recovery time here." But, like, it was just so wonderful, it's so funny, and I enjoyed it. So those were my highlights, my work highlights for the
Love
last
it.
couple weeks, yes.
I love it. What will come up next on the YouTube
What
ads that you
embarrassing
can't
and horrible
skip?
thing. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
I love it.
Yes. So,
Should
well,
we, with our last 10 minutes here, should we get into like maybe a more meatier topic?
sure. Let's get into
What do you want
something
to do?
meaty. I let's do performance reviews. I think we
Cool.
just did ours. We just did our performance reviews
Yeah.
and ours were pretty friendly, pretty casual, but I
Hmm.
did get a little piece of feedback and of course, it's the only thing that sticks in my head, and it was that I need to do less talking and more listening.
Hmm.
So, I was like, "Well, I can't lie that that is one of my weaknesses, that I like to jab."
Yeah.
And,
That's why
anyway,
we
we
have a
have a
podcast.
podcast. So,
Yeah.
anyway, so
If it
but it
was a
did
listening
sting.
podcast, this would be really boring.
I know, right? It did sting a little bit, like, I can't deny that, and I was like because when you are, like, listening to someone go on and they won't shut up and you have something to say, it can be really, like, tedious. So, I'm like, "Okay." I've been trying to call out, quiet people in
Hmm.
meetings and ask them what they think. I don't
That's
know.
good practice.
Ugh,
How's that
what
going?
about you? It's alright. It's alright. We got
Yeah.
a lot of shy, people and stuff who, you know, they aren't as aggressive about butting in, and they don't
Uh-huh.
feel comfortable interrupting, and I always tell people, like, "Just interrupt me. I'm gonna talk. So just
Mhm.
interrupt. Just go ahead." So, yeah, what about you, Meg? Did you have a performance review anytime lately?
Yeah, about once a year seem to always roll around.
Mhm.
Yeah. I one thing that I think is interesting is the difference between companies that do like everybody's at one time of the year, like say January,
Mm.
February, or
Mhm.
companies who will time the performance reviews like on the person's start date. So it's like everybody's always doing a
Oh,
performance. Like
interesting.
your boss is maybe doing somebody's performance review, but not doing your performance review at that time. And I've never worked for the latter, but I've always really liked that idea because I feel like all the performance reviews getting done all at one time. And I get why they do that. Well, maybe I don't, I don't know. But like it's just so much. You're peer reviewing other people. You
Mhm.
are, if you're a manager, you're doing reviews for every single one of your reports, and then you're doing other tasks on top of that, like doing recommending people for promotions, doing like salary
Yes.
adjustments, and you're doing this all at one time of the year. And maybe that's better. Maybe it's better to like get it all over with, but it just feels like that just means everybody's in the same process at the same time. And there's not really special, like not that it needs to be
Yeah.
special, but it just feels like, oh, well, what am I going to say about this person that I didn't say about the last person? Like,
Mhm.
communicates effectively. Um, and then
Yeah.
sometimes like I really like if I wanted to do the process well, I would really sit down and like really think about, like really reflect on, do my self-reflection like over the course of like a day or two, because that's how long those kinds of things should take. And
Mm.
I just uh it's like if you're doing that for yourself and you're doing that for 5 6 colleagues in different domains that you've maybe worked with like back in August and it's
Yeah.
February. It's like I don't know. It
How
just
do
makes
you collect,
all of
like, the
yeah.
data? Like, how do you collect data for on people? Because that was something that came up for me of like, okay, someone's asked me for feedback. What do I
Uh-huh.
have to say? And I'm like, well, what project did we work on together? What did we do? How did,
Hmm.
and when did we meet? What did I rely on them for? What did they give me? And
Those are all
I
great things. Yeah.
only tools that I really had were like calendar invites. So I combed through my
Yes.
calendar
Yep.
looking for
I
when
do that
we
too.
had
That's
sync
so interesting.
meetings, and I'm just like, okay, I can say that we met, 6 times.
Hmm.
Or what it's hard sometimes, it's really hard to quantify your work into numbers and say, and I read recently something that said like any on your resume or whatever, anytime you have a noun, you
Hmm.
should have a number in front of it. So if you did projects, then you should say you did 10 projects or 300 projects. Or if you talk to customers, you can say, we talked to 30 customers, like something like that.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, okay. The bean counting stuff.
Yeah.
What do you do?
I can barely remember sometimes what the experience was like working with somebody. Like I said, like if it was back a couple months, definitely lean on the calendar as like a record of things that happened. Like you said. I I mean I don't know if I've ever been successful at quantifying the impact when I'm doing like a peer review or a self
Yeah.
well maybe a self review. I'm a little bit more attuned to kind of things that were delivered and outcomes that were rendered. But
Mhm.
it really varies based on the year and kind of the organization that I'm set up in and whether or not they're being very good about connecting projects to outcomes. Like I, for the most part, if I'm doing something along those lines, like I'm asking a PM for like, oh hey, what were the metrics and did we achieve
Uh-huh.
did we achieve the goals? And if the PM is like it doesn't get back to you or they don't know their own stats, then it's
Yeah.
just like you don't have that information. So
Yeah.
it's drudgery, Jessamyn. Maybe
Yes.
you could talk
Impact on
about
the
it in
business.
your
I know I get frustrated by that. It is really hard to measure your impact on the business as a UX designer. You can say, "Oh, this many people used the product or this much money was made off the product."
Mhm,
Or, we had this impact of like we took something that was 7 steps and we made it 2,
mhm,
something like that. But a lot of stuff, I mean, when you're shipping features, like we do this and now we're going to do that. That's that's tough to then say like, well, this was the impact of it unless it's a revenue feature.
uh-huh,
Um I yeah, and I don't find and I haven't found that the teams I'm on are necessarily like great at doing that either, like outside of
mhm,
those business type meetings, but that the
mhm,
the work at like the PM UX engineering collaboration level, that that
uh-huh,
that those conversations are happening at that level, that we're all like, hey, we really need to drive down this time on task. Like
mhm.
it's usually more like we need to add something. We need to
Yeah,
add
we need
this
to
thing
add a
that's not there
feature.
today. We need to add a
Yeah.
feature that's not there today. So,
So
yeah.
I have like what let's I have one final question before we run out of time, and that's like, would you do? It's a two-parter. Would you do the self-reflection type activities if you weren't required to do a performance review every year? And if not, and because I suppose the answer would be no, or maybe the answer is yes, but what like what is the real value out of it
Yeah.
in terms of for yourself, not for the business, not for you getting a promotion or whatever, but like
Uh-huh.
part of this really actually benefits you, in your opinion?
Ugh. Well, one, I think it helps cut through the negativity because I
Mm,
think with jobs, you can get super negative really fast and you can be like,
hmm.
this sucks. I hate this project. I hate these people. I hate this work. I hate this company. I hate it all. I'm going to go work somewhere else. And and then you're focusing instead of on watering your garden or whatever, like you're focusing on the next place you're going to go work and that place is going to be so great.
Hmm.
And recently I read this advice column that was like somebody was like, I'm so burned out and I'm ready to retire and I don't care about any of these people and nobody cares about me and I got to get out of here. And the person responding was like, well, what was your part in the burnout? Did you play a
Hmm.
part in the burnout? Did you not set limits? Did you not
Mm,
ask for help? Did you, work more than you needed to or, like feel underappreciated when maybe there was something you could have done about it? I don't know. And I was like,
yeah.
God, that's so insightful to me because it's and the other thing is focusing on other people and their performance and their problems. I mean, I can't tell you how many conversations I've had recently where someone's like, this person is making my life, this person's a pain to work with. This person's
Hmm.
difficult. This person's questioning me. They're questioning my decisions. They're adding their own opinions where they're not welcome. Like this person, this person, this person. And it's so easy to focus on what other people are doing wrong or how other people are failing, and it's really, really hard to self-reflect
Hmm.
and to ask yourself like, "Well, what could I do differently? What am I weak at?"
Hmm.
And that's hard work. That's hard, hard work. And it does not come naturally. Like gossip comes so naturally to all of us. Like it's so easy. Um, I guess that to me, like now that you're asking, like those are the things that come to mind. What about for you?
I think that's a really good way of thinking about it. Um, I really like a lot of the things that you said about, the grass feels greener somewhere else, and thinking about your role in your own satisfaction. I don't know.
Yeah.
And not it just being a bunch of external things that are kind of coming down on you. But Yeah, I guess I would add that it's nice to have um it's sometimes nice to have a look back to make you feel like, and I guess this is the same thing that you're talking about, to make you feel like you have accomplished something. And
Yeah.
if you go back uh like to previous months that you can't like immediately remember, and you start to like build a record of that, it's essentially, I guess what I'm saying is you really should have a running record of that. You shouldn't let months go
Mhm.
by where you forget what you've done.
Yeah.
And that's I guess what I should do. But I don't. And so the self-reflection time at least gives me a chance to fill in the gaps of, and
Yeah.
try to see what I've done over the course of an extended period of time. So
Tracking, track that
yeah.
shit.
So I
It's
guess, yeah,
so true. How many meetings? How many design revisions did you do? I mean, track
yeah,
that for God's sake.
totally. Oh man, maybe we should do something like that. But anyway, I guess the end of this conversation makes me feel like performance reviews, even though I hate them, are not so bad. So
Hang in there, folks. Hang in
yeah.
there. Yeah. If you get a bad one too, like it's just one conversation and I've had bad ones that really rocked my world and made me really unhappy for a long time, and I took them
Hmm.
to heart, and they
Hmm.
hurt really
Hmm.
bad, and I think, does that person even remember that conversation with me that,
No,
like no. So,
never. They
yeah.
never will.
So hang in there. It's a good practice to get a little criticism sometimes, to be humbled and to keep yourself moving forward in spite of it. Like, like I'm talking to myself right now. But yeah, it's good for us, right? To take a couple of hard knocks and then
Mhm.
keep on trucking.
All right.
All right, Meg. Well, if you need advice or sympathy for your UX career, folks, please write to us at survivingux@gmail.com.
See you next time.
Bye bye.
Surviving UX is hosted and edited by Jessamyn Edwards and Meg Kramer. Our theme music is, among other things, the on-hold music for Cisco Phones, Opus Number 1 by Tim Carlton and Derek Deal. And whether you love working from bed or you hate it, we hope you join us on the next episode of Surviving UX.